Right now, Christians, conservatives, and freedom-loving Americans are being censored and abused by cultural gatekeepers. Why? Because we don't fight back. Not anymore. Freedom of Creativity is a directory for creatives and businesses who value the American principle of freedom. If you're a fan of culture, you'll discover new artists of all kinds. And if you're a business owner, list your company on Freedom of Creativity so we can build a directory of businesses that share our values. It is vital to speak with our wallets and sow into businesses that support freedom over censorship and cancel culture. It's free to join and free to use, but if you upgrade and support Tim's fight for a culture, as a fan of my show, Tim is giving listeners 50% off for life when you use the code LISSETPE. Join today at freedomofcreativity.com. Spread the word. Reach out to Tim Columba on social media at Freedom of Creativity US, where you can also watch his videos that are pretty good. They're awesome, actually. Learn by listening to my podcast episode where I speak with Tim Columba about his mission and why it's so important on season 2. If you don't start influencing our culture, who will? The culture is in your hands. Welcome to the Rookie Marican podcast, partnered with Lexit. I'm your girl, Lisette Carter, and I am here today with the founder of Lexit, the Lexit movement, right here in the United States, Jesse Holguin. Jesse, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on, sister.
Jesse, tell the people where you're from. Jesse has an amazing testimony, and I know I'm an ambassador for Lexit out here in Massachusetts. I was actually stalking these guys to be an ambassador for the longest time, for at least a couple months. And I wanted to, the reason why is because I know that they're centered, or the founder is centered in Christ. And also Lexit actually means Latinos exit the Democratic Party. And so I wanted to bring on the founder to explain on that, expound on that much more, give his testimony, talk about why he founded Lexit. And the reason why is because a lot of Latinos out here on the East Coast are afraid of coming out. They're afraid of standing up for the things that they believe in. I've been to a lot of rallies and there are hardly any Latinos there at all. Meanwhile, when we see all of the coverage on the West Coast, it is literally Latinos everywhere for all of these rallies. And that is a rarity to see up here in the New England area. So I wanted Jesse to talk about his experience and how he got into advocating for what he believes in now. So take it away, Jesse. Where you from? How old are you? What's your background, bro?
Yeah, I'm from La Fuente, California. Now I live in LA. And you want me to start going my testimony right now?
Yeah, please. Yeah, people need to hear it. Yeah.
So I grew up my whole life, my goal was always to be a gang member because every single male in my family was a gang member. Like every single male, like my father, my uncles, my brothers, my cousins, every male. So I always grew up looking up to that, the gang, the lifestyle. I always wanted to be a gang. Like other little kids would maybe want to grow up to be a movie star or an athlete or something like that. My goal, my whole life was always to be a gang member. I looked up to that. And so I ended up getting into a gang very young. And then my family had a good or notorious, whatever you want to call it, reputation around my neighborhood, the most feared and respected and all that kind of stuff, craziest, whatever. So I wanted to try to earn my own name, my own respect. So I started doing like shootings and just trying to do a lot of things to try to earn my own name. So by being like that, I got arrested at 16 for like 4 shootings, and that's just what they were charging me with. I had did other ones and stuff like that, but they charged me for 4 shootings at 16. So I went up to the youth authority for several years, and even though I was a gang member, or whatever, I was still just a normal little skinny little kid, 16-year-old. And so when I went up there to YA, like anybody who knows what the youth authority is, it's like they call it gladiator school. And by the time I got out of there, I was all institutionalized. Like I could tell you a bunch of stories. That's what I'm saying. Maybe if we write a book, I could go into detail telling you so many crazy things, stories like that. But by the time I got out of there, I was all institutionalized, all crazy. I was just like a gangbanging machine. Like I didn't care about my family, nothing. The only thing I cared about was my gang. So being like that are all crazy and like that, I ended up being like the shot caller for my gang. So I had the power. I could tell my homeboys, you go do this shooting or go do whatever. And they used to have to listen to whatever I say. But I used to like to do the shootings myself. So that was just how I was. I would do the shootings and like that, whatever. But I had the power or whatever. But um so I was like that. And then my story starts, my testimony, I was at work one day and my older boss was an older Christian man. And as we're working, he's an ex-gang member and all that too. So I respected him and stuff too. And he was my boss. So he started sharing the gospel with me. And my whole life I was raised Catholic and all of that. So I never heard it the way he was telling me, sharing the gospel with me. So I'm listening to him. That's why don't ever get discouraged when you're anyone listening to this, if you're sharing with somebody and you're thinking that they're not hearing it or whatever, because if at the time, if somebody would have asked him, he would have probably said, this little knucklehead, little gang member, whatever, he ain't listening to me. But I heard what he was saying and he was sharing the gospel with me. And then so I'm listening to him say everything, and I was amazed, like I never heard it like that. And I was like, you know what? That sounds good. You know what I mean? Maybe one day I'll go to church. Maybe if I ever get married or something like that, maybe I'll go to church. I said, but I don't think could be forgiven. I did too many things. I said, don't want to. I don't want to be say as soon as I get off because we were about to go do a shooting that night. Me and my homeboys. We already had the stolen car. We already had the guns. They were just waiting for me to get off of work. We were going to go do another shooting. But I didn't say that. I just said, I don't want to be no hypocrite. I don't want to be I'm not ready. But maybe one day, if I ever get married, I'll go to church. But I said, you know what? I don't think I can be forgiven. I did too many things. And then he said, no, you never heard the story about like King David in the Bible? And I was like, no. And then he was like, he was a great man of God. He was sleeping with the soldier's wife and he had the soldiers killed. He had a soldier killed. And he's like telling me like, that's what I'm listening to him. And then I go into a room and I was a painter at the time. So I was on my knees and I was painting. I was in a room by myself. And at that time, I achieved the greatest you could hope for in that lifestyle. I was running my neighborhood. I had the power. I had the respect. I had women. Like every little gang member's dream or their goal or whatever, their wildest dream, I achieved. I was like everything that you could hope for in a gang as wise, I achieved it. And still, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. So I was on my knees and I was right there and I thought about what he was telling me. And then I said, I didn't know how to pray or nothing like that. But I was like, God, help me to change. I just told God, help me to change. And then sure enough, I went, boom, we did the shooting, boom, 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 boom. We got in a high-speed chase and from the cops and we crashed, boom. And then it was a trip because I was running on one side of the street, me and one of my little homeboys, and my other two little homeboys were on the other side. So we're running side by side, and the cops behind us. And then my little homeboy tells me, hey, your gun. Because I still had my gun in my waist right here. He tells me, your gun. And when he tells me that, he starts going the different directions. And sure enough, the cops chasing me. So I'm running, and there was just like a little hill. And I was young and in shape at that time. So I was running. I was like in the air on the hill. I threw my gun, and I took like a little tumble. And I should have just been able to get up and ran like nothing. But I tried to get up, and my legs didn't work exactly how they're right now. Or it was like something was holding me down. Something weird happened where I was on the floor and my legs didn't work. So the cop came, handcuffed me, and the cop's like, get up. And I'm like, I can't. And the cop's like, what do you mean you can't get up? Get up. I said, I don't know what's wrong with me, officer. My legs don't work. And then as soon as the cop picked me up, I was normal. My legs were normal. I was like, what the heck? That was really weird. What the hell? That had never happened in my life. Like, whoa, what was weird? But I didn't really trip on it too much because I got busted in the act I was on parole for shooting. I just did years for shooting. I got caught in the act. So my whole mind was thinking, oh, that's it. I'm going to get life. So I wasn't really thinking about, hey, that was really weird what just happened to me right now. But I just was like, oh, thinking about, man, that's it for me. So I was in the county and I had 7 felonies. And I thought about everything that dude was telling me and all that again. And so I started praying in the county, like, and I was praying, asking God to forgive me and like to give me one more chance to get out. And I told him, I promised God I'll never touch a gun again. And all that, I told him I will never touch a gun again. I kept promising God. And like, I don't remember the words I said that night, but it's true that God knows your heart, because he knew my heart, and I didn't know how to pray or nothing like that, but I was just calling out to God. And I got saved because that night too. So I prayed, bam, bam, bam. And I got saved because I went to sleep. And when I was asleep, I had a dream, and something like came in my dream, and it was like some kind of evil something. I don't know if it was a demon or it was something. I couldn't see the face. I couldn't see its face, but I could just sense the evil, and it was like furious, like on me in my dream, and it was like a demon or something. And then I was scared in my dream, but then I said, you know what, Jesus, and I said, what, Jesus forgave me. And when I said that, it left, and I woke up. And when I woke up, I was a totally different, changed person. Because I remember before, the type of person I was, where it was just a regular daytime, 1 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever, I'll be thinking in my head, I could catch my enemies like this, and I could run up on them like this and shoot them like this. And I'd always think of how to do things like that and things like that. And it even used to worry me back in the day. I used to be like, what's wrong with me? How come all I ever think about is doing evil or hurting people and like
Mm.
that? Like, what's wrong with me? But after that night and all that, after I prayed and all that, and I woke up the next day, all those evil thoughts and just everything about me was changed. But I didn't understand it. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what happened, but I could feel something dramatically changed on the inside. Like I just felt like so clean, and just like it was hard to describe. I felt weird, different. And then I remember when I used to be in the youth authority and in juvenile hall and stuff like that, I used to try to read my Bible, but it was boring to me. It was boring. I didn't understand it. It was like nothing. But after I got saved and all that, and I started reading my Bible, the Bible came alive to me. And not only did it come alive to me, I was hungry for it. So I was growing and I was learning like that. And I was in jail. I don't know nothing about nothing, but I was learning, reading my Bible, and they had Bible studies in there. So I was going to Bible studies and I was growing like that. But the mistake I made was I tried to walk on both sides of the fence. I was kicking it with all the fellas, all the guys in there in prison, but
Yeah.
then I was trying to go to Bible studies on both, on to both, and
Hmm.
that don't work very long. So I got, long story short, I got blessed. I only got a few years. They gave me like 3 years, so I was a blessing. So I went upstate to the pen, and I went to a level 3 yard. And anybody that knows about California and prisons, level 3s and level 4s, that's the big times. That's where all the murderers and the lifers and all that kind of stuff is at. So they sent me to a level 3 yard. And my first day there, my first day on the yard, they came up to me and they were like, hey, we need you to do this, and we need you to do this and that, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up getting in fights, rushing dudes, and blah, 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 going to the hole, and just like slowly but surely falling away. I was falling away like that. And then even the guys used to trip out on me because they'll see me on the yard and I'll be beating somebody up or something, boom, 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 and then they'll see me and I'll be at Bible study. The guys in there, they'll be like, hey, what's up with you? Yeah, they'll be like, hey, man, what's up with you? We see you on the yard beating up fools, and then you're over there at Bible studies. And then I'll tell them, hey, you guys know what's up with me. Hey, I ain't scared or whatever. I just choose to go to church. So then they never told me nothing. The guys in there, they never told me nothing because I was like doing the most stuff on the yard. But then I just told, but I choose to go to church. So they never told me nothing. So I was like that. And then I ended up starting to get a little bit of power right there where I was at in prison. On the yard I was at, they gave me the keys to my area in the pen right there. So I was even getting power in there, like on the streets. And so then I get released. And the day I got released, all my homeboys and my family were at my house. They had me a party. And my youngster little homies were like, hey, we're so happy that you're out. The hood hasn't been the same since you've been gone. We want you to run the neighborhood and all that again and all that. And then I told them, you know what? That's it for me. And they were like, what? You're just saying that because you're fresh out. You'll be back. You'll be back around. And I was like, nah, I want to go to church. And they got mad when I said that. I started arguing with all of them. So I'm arguing with all my homeboys and my family, and I'm arguing with them, all of them, because I said I
Your
wanted to go to
family
church. And then my
too? Your
mother,
family?
yeah, my family too. And then even my own mother, my mother tells me, I'll disown you. if you turn Christian, because my family hated Christians. They were all Catholics, so they hated Christians. So my mother told me, I'll disown you if you turn Christian. So I had like all of that. Plus I was fresh out. So one sin leads to another. You know what I mean? I started being with women, and you know, I wanted women. I was fresh out and all that. So one sin leads to another again, and I ended up slowly but surely falling away. And what happened was I got into with some dude. So I went to this guy's house, and I was just going to kick down his front door and go all up inside the guy's house and get him inside of his house. That's just a little glimpse of the type of person that I used to be. To just go to somebody's house, kick down their front door, and just go in their house and get them. So I'm kicking down this dude's front door. And as I'm kicking down his front door, he shot me. Boom. He shot me out the side window, right? I got hit and I fell, boom, and I was on the floor. And he was boom, 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 boom. He was trying to shoot me some more, but I was pulling myself with my arms. And then so they picked me up, and they took me. There's more to that story too, right there too, but I'm just kind of cut short. And he took me to the car, and then they were like, "What's wrong with you?" And I told them, "I don't know. I can't feel my legs. I think I'm shot." But I had no pain, and I had no blood or no nothing. Just that. So I did. And then they lifted up my shirt, and they're like, "Yeah, you're shot." And the reason I had no blood is because the bullet went through my spine. I mean, went through my lung, and it went into my spine. So all my blood was going into my lung, and I was choking on my own blood. So when they told me that, I was like, "Yeah, they're shot." I was like, "Oh man." Hey, and so I started telling myself, hang on to the ambulance comes, hang on to the ambulance comes. So the ambulance comes, boom, they put an IV in me, and the cops and the ambulance, they're all talking. And they're like, he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it. His only chance is to call for the chopper. So they tell me, hey, we're going to airlift him. You hang on for the chopper. They're like, hang on and all that. So I'm like, man, I tell myself, hang on for the chopper now, hang on for the chopper. So then finally, the chopper comes, they put me in it, and we're airlifting and we're flying. And you could feel it, sis. Like you could tell when you're dying, like you could feel it, like I could feel it. I was righteously dying. I was right there, and I was choking on my own blood. I was dying right there. I got scared. And the only thing on my mind was, I'm going to hell, because I thought about everything that I learned when I was in jail and all that Bible studies and all that, reading the Bible. And then I thought, remember, I was just right there going to get that dude and all of that. So I just started calling out to Jesus. And I wasn't praying like, Lord, help me to live or anything like that, because I thought I was going to die at any second. It was only repentance. I was only like, so I just didn't want to go to hell. So I was just like, Jesus, forgive me and whatever. And it was a trip because I was all scared and dying and all like that. And once I started calling out to Jesus, I thought a wonderful peace came over me. Like I can't even describe it to you in words. It was like so at peace and so at comfort. I almost felt like if I was a spirit or something. Like I felt so at peace and so comforted. I was okay. And then ever since that day, the Lord there's even like a lot more even to the story right there. But so then even when I was like, I rarely tell this, what I'm going to tell you right now in the story, but there's a little piece that I never say it because I didn't witness it my own self. This is my mom and dad. They said that, you know, if your child or something's dying in the hospital, they rush to the hospital. And as soon as the doctor came out to talk to them or whatever, and I was back there, they were working, whatever. So they said that when they went to the hospital, that the doctor told them it was like a miracle, that he didn't know how it happened. He said that the bullet was coming straight, like should have hit my heart, but then like for just no apparent reason, it just like, boom, like it bounced off of something and it boom, it went into my spine. But it should have went to my heart. And that my mom and them said that the doctor told them, and this is the doctor told them it was like an angel put his hand in front of my heart, because he didn't know how it happened. The bullet was like supposed to come to my heart, but just for no apparent reason, boom, it ricocheted into my spine. So I never really say that because I didn't see it or whatever, but that's just what my mother and my father told me. So I'm in the hospital, and my nurses and that even tripped out on me, because one of the times they came in the hospital room and it was food up with gang members all in my hospital room, and my homies were like, "Hey, we're gonna go get the dude that shot you. Hey, we're gonna go get him and all of that." And I told them, "What?" let him go. Mom was like, what? What you talking about? We're gonna get him. What you mean? We're gonna get him. And then I was like, no, no, no. I don't understand what's going on with me. I don't understand what's going on. But I forgive him, man. I forgive him. Just let him go. And then even when I was in the hospital, the doctors were like amazed when they see me because I was like how I am right now. The Lord always has always, since this whole 20 years I've been in a wheelchair, he's always gave me peace for my situation. Like that's why I never people are like, oh, you're in a wheelchair. Oh. I'm like, I'm just blessed, eh? Like God gave me peace for my situation. Like he's giving me peace. So the doctors were like, man, we never seen a dude like you before, especially when they're young, and we tell them that they're never going to walk again. Usually we have to give them antidepressant medicines, but they were like, can you go around the hospital and try to like cheer up the other patients? So I was all shot up myself, but I was going around the hospital cheering up the other patients in there that were in the wheelchairs too. So ever since then, day one, the God was, and I always felt that. I always felt that God was going to use me from day one. I knew like that God was going to use me, and He was from day one. He was using me. So as soon as I got out of the hospital, I started going into juvenile halls. I started going into juvenile halls, and the little kids in there loved me because I'll tell them and I was doing Bible studies with all the little kids in there, and then they loved me. I told them I used to be like you little kids. I was the leader of the gang. I was in the juvenile hall, youth authority, prison. So I would be like, all eyes on me when I was going there. All the little kids in the juvenile hall, they were like, oh, it was like God. And then I started going into prisons, and then I started like speaking at car shows, speaking at different churches, and I started sharing with a lot of my ex-gang member homeboys, and a lot of them got saved, and then my whole family got saved, whole
Wow.
family. But none of it's me. Like, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying it. I had anything. It was all God. He gets all the glory. But yeah, my whole family, even my mom and dad, they serve at their churches now. At their church now, like they're all, like my whole family got saved. And then and then I started being even a chaplain. I was a chaplain at the hospital, so I was going around, and I wasn't supposed to be doing that. I was supposed to just go around and be praying with the patients, but not me. I was going around sharing the gospel. I was just going to
Mm.
every patient sharing the gospel. So God was just using me for a lot, and I was doing that until I feel that the Lord called me to start Lexit.
Mm. So, how old were you when this happened? When you were in the hospital preaching?
When I got shot,
Yeah.
I think 26.
Oh, okay. Wow. So that, what an amazing testimony on like so many levels, man.
There's
Um,
even so much to it more that you would even be amazed, probably even more than what I just told you.
so when was the point? Because I remember seeing a picture of you at the White House. And that's probably
Yeah.
what I'm going to call this podcast, from gang to the White House or something like that. But, you know, I remember seeing a picture of you there and saying, and then watching your testimony on PragerU and being like, what? How
That's why I
great is
say
our
I feel
God?
like Joseph in the Bible. I went from the jail cell to the
Yeah.
White House. And I want to
Yeah.
imagine that 6 times. I was at the White House 6 times.
Wow. So
That's
tell
for
me,
sure.
tell me about that. Let's talk about that because even me, you know, I wrote a letter to Trump. Um nobody knows I did this. I didn't even take a picture of it. I wrote a letter to Trump when he was in office to thank him. And a lot of people don't know this, but my husband and I, we had studied under Trump before he decided to run in real estate because we wanted to own property. And so we had studied books for years, for like a good year or two. We studied him, Robert Kiyosaki. And so when the allegations came in that, you know, which they do to every Republican, you know, that he was a racist, we were like, we didn't really get that vibe when we studied under him. And so, um, you know, when I don't remember the point, what was the point of that story? Your stories. is definitely more intriguing than me talking right now. But oh yeah, so I decided to write him a letter to thank him for writing or allowing people to write those books on business, because if it wasn't for those books and what we learned with finances and real estate under him, among other people, I wouldn't have been able to raise my daughter full time, because that was my goal. And so I wrote him a letter, and said, thank you for doing that. Because of you, we are financially independent, and I can come home and raise my daughter full time and teach her whatever I want to teach her. And I asked to go to the White House, and I said, I would love
Hey,
to
if you
go,
would have
give
been
me
with
the
Lexit,
invitation.
yeah, you would have been with Lexit at those times. You would have got in there because one time we got the whole Lexit crew. We all went
Oh my
into the White
gosh.
House with Lexit. Lexit. We all went
So
us with Lexit.
we wanted to go so bad, and we were just so, not because we're like super Trump fans, but because I've genuinely liked his policies. As a Christian,
Yeah.
I liked his policies. I'm a policy girl. I don't care who you are. If your policies are good and you follow through with what you're saying, that is what makes you a good, I don't want to say politician, but that is what makes you right um for those positions that people vote for, that they vote you in for. That's why we're a republic. Because you represent the people, and you do what you say you're going to do according to the policies that you believe in. So tell me about the process from the Lexit inception. I know you have a board, and from the time you started Lexit to the time you went to the White House, and why you started Lexit.
I started it because me and David Busuto and some other guy, Eddie, we first because we seen Candace, she started Lexit, right? So we're like, I was like myself, me, I was the first one. I was like, I need to do something. We need to do something for Latinos. That's why I said I
Mm-hmm.
got to do David, Eddie, and a couple of other people too, other Latinos. And I was like, hey, we need to start Lexit. So all of them were saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then only those two guys really at the beginning with me. And then it just kicked off. Like it just, as soon as when we started it blew off. And I feel it blew off because of God, because at Lexit, we put God first above all things
Right.
all the time. And like I always say that Lexit, we're not a Christian organization. Like you don't have to be Christian to follow, be or down with Lexit or whatever, but we are. And we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be ashamed of the gospel. We say it boldly, unapologetically, and we won't go against the Bible, the Word of God, and all of that. But
Mm-hmm.
that's how we started, and like I said, was taking off. And then after like I just started going everywhere, all over across the country. The only one I could say that helped us a lot was at the beginning was Anna Paulina. Anna Paulina is a good friend of mine, and she was helping Lexit at the beginning, and then
She's a
both of those
rep in
other guys
Florida,
had
right?
left. She's running for office in Florida. I think she's
In
running for
Florida.
like governor or something down there.
Mm-hmm.
But some seats she's running for. But yeah, she helped us a lot, and then we've just been pushing ever since then. Ever since then. Right?
So what was your experience at the White House the first time when you guys were invited there?
First time I was just happy to be there because I thought that would be the only time and whatever. But I'll give you a story. One of the times, imagine one of the times I was going into the White House, right? And there was hundreds of Latinos. We're walking into the White House, boom, and we're coming in there. And as we're walking in, we just hear, "There's power in the name of Jesus." Is being blasted in the White House. So all of us stop, like,
What?
what? We all look at each other like, wow, they're praising Jesus in the White House. Hey, imagine the fake media and that won't ever show that. And then to
Wow.
have had some lady come out. Yeah, some lady came out. She sang 3 songs in Spanish, and all 3 of the songs were about God. And we're like, see, the fake media won't ever show this. Hey, they're right there praising Jesus in the White House, full of Latinos in the White House. They won't ever show nothing like that. They just want to push that fake rare racist and he don't like Latinos and all that whatever nonsense. They
Mm-hmm.
won't ever show that.
So you guys got an invitation from the president to go to the White House? Was it like a Hispanic Heritage Month, or it was just he was noticing what you
Yeah,
guys were doing?
I went for different things. Like, yeah, I went for a bunch of different reasons. One was once or twice was for the Hispanic and Heritage Month, maybe once or twice, and then social media summit, and
Wow.
one for like another Latino. He was signing a Latino initiative. Like I went all for different reasons or whatever.
Were you able to talk to Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him. I took a picture with him and all that.
Yeah.
I'll even say a little story. One of the first times I seen him was at the social media summit. We were right there with all the biggest influencers, like you name it, every biggest influencer that there is. It was all of us. We were all there at the White House, and Trump was talking, and I was pretty close. Say like it was Kimberly Guilfoyle and Don Jr. and I was sitting like a little bit close behind them. It was me and Joy Vila, and all of us were right there. But I was pretty close to them. And I already had known Kimberly for a while. She knew me and all that. So as soon as like Kimberly came in, she told me, hey, she told me hi, hey, Kimberly. And then so we're right there, and Trump comes up and he's talking. And then he's talking about Latinos. Oh, Latinos, the youngest unemployment, or whatever, what the lowest unemployment, blah, blah, blah. And as he says that, he looks at me, and I was pretty close to him, like right there. So as I say that, I was like, yeah, like shaking my head like that. So he looks at me and he tells me, hey, yeah, stand up. Go ahead, stand up. He tells me. And I was like, hey, I can't stand up. So it was like, that was like pretty funny that time. And then another time was, I was right there standing right, I was at the front. And there was like a line, and him and Pence, Trump and Pence are walking down, and they're shaking hands with everybody. And there's like a bunch of people behind us. So I'm right here waiting, and Trump comes, boom, and he's right there stopping. He's right there talking, cracking jokes, talking to him for like a while. He's right there for a while. I'm talking to him. He's right talking to us, and he's like cracking jokes and blah, blah. And I didn't even notice it. But I guess all the people behind were all trying to get pictures or whatever they were doing. And they were like pushing on me from behind. Like I didn't even notice it because I was just so fixated on talking in here to him and stuff, get pictures with him and just everything. So I'm just fixated on him. So I didn't even notice it, but I guess I was going like that, like in my wheelchair, like moving or like going like
Yeah.
that. And I didn't notice it, but he noticed it. So Trump starts yelling at all the people. So I'm talking around, and then he starts yelling at the people, stop pushing him, stop pushing him. And then he comes around me and he puts his arm around my back like that. And he like shields me from the people. And he's like behind me like that, and he's shielding me, and he's yelling at them, stop pushing him, stop pushing him. So I just look at him like, wow, that's so cool that he
Yeah.
noticed that. I didn't even notice. I was like, dang, good looking out. Like I didn't even notice
Yeah.
that just showed his heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. That's a wild story. Now, what about, let's talk about Lexit a little bit, because I know that Lexit has been doing a lot of work in, especially in specifically in the West Coast, bringing Latinos together and standing up for the things that really we believe in, which is the freedoms that we have here in the United States. So talk about how important that is to you when the moment you realize that you needed to be a voice for Latinos.
I guess you could say that the fake media made Lexit, or the fake Lexit made me get involved. I was just not too much into politics. Like I even used to be a Democrat. I was raised Democrat, and I always told my family, "Why are we Democrats?" What they said, because the Democrats are for the minorities, and then the Republicans are for the rich whites, whatever. So I always
Right.
grew up thinking I was a Democrat. But the reason how it changed me was my faith, because like I said, I turned Christian, I was saved, and I was growing with the Lord, and as the Lord was using me, and I was growing with the Lord and all that. I just seen as a Christian, I could no longer support that party. It was under Obama, when Obama was like making men go in women's restrooms and just all the crap he was doing. As a Christian, so at first I got mad. At first I was just mad, and that led me to start doing my research. So I started doing my homework and all that, and I was seeing, hey, wow, they founded the KKK. Like, wow, as I'm learning how about Jim Crow and just everything foul about the Democrat Party. I was like, wow, they never taught none of this in school. I didn't know none of this. whatever, that they're all the racist ones and all that, whatever, whatever. So then, uh, at first, though, I said I wasn't neither side or whatever. So I was just mad at the Democrats. And then when Trump came out, I wasn't big on Trump at the beginning. I didn't know nothing about him or nothing like that. I just knew he was better than crooked Hillary.
Mm.
So I was like, okay. And I was in for Trump. I was for Cruz. I was going for Cruz. But then when Cruz was out, I was like, I just had to go for Trump. So I didn't really expect nothing from him or anything like that. So I voted for him. But then when he was office, I just liked it. Like you said, I was just liking his policies, everything that he was doing. And then I just seen the constant attacks 24/7 by the fake news propaganda, totally just attacking Trump all sick. And they were trying to make it like, oh, the Latinos don't like Trump, this and that. And I'm like, what? All the Latinos that I know in my area or that I know were like, what? That ain't true. We like Trump. You know what I mean? We're pro-life. Like I don't know what the hell CNN and them were talking about. That's when I was like, we got to start up something, you know what I mean? To battle. Like I said, I was just sick of the fake media just
Yeah.
attacking Trump all the time. So that's what made me get involved.
And a lot of, and I've said this before, is that a lot of Latinos, most Latinos, I believe, are raised conservative. We have
Yeah.
conservative values that we grew up with, but somehow along the line, Latinos became single issue voters, especially out here where, you know, they just talk about one thing and they say that one thing is what you need to be voting on. And that is a false narrative that the media and people will tell you. You know, it's important to really look, even if you're not involved in politics, to really look at the policies and say, hey, that's how I felt about Obama too. I never voted for Obama because I watched every debate objectively of Obama. And then I did research on his past and I realized he wasn't really a Christian. And then I said, this guy, we don't have the same values. We don't have the same, I don't like any of his policies. I think he's a slick talker, which I honestly believe that with Obama has numbed the nation because Obama has managed to speak in a way that he won't really answer a question, but it's so eloquently put, the answer, that it deceives people. And so when
Well,
you
that
have,
too, and then a lot of the blacks, they just voted him because he was black.
because he
That
was
was it.
black,
No matter
Latinos
what
did
he would
that
have said.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they voted for him.
So much
He's the first black guy to be president, and
yeah.
they didn't realize what the policies that they were voting for. And then when they had somebody of the people like Trump come in who was brash and he was bold, he didn't have a speech writer like all of these other guys did. It was like, whoa, he can't be a politician because he's not as polished. And I think that was the damage that Obama did to the nation. One of the things is that he deceived people into really believing that you were polished, you were an eloquent speaker, but you didn't answer any questions at the end of the day, and his policies suck. So, I mean, I would rather take somebody brash and bold and has good policies over somebody who is deceptive in the way
He's
that you
evil.
speak.
To me, he's the most evil president in history, Obama. He's straight up evil.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so how do somebody that wants to become part of Lexit find you on the internet? Because there is a little bit of confusion in regards to finding Lexit movement. So I want you to clarify, where to find you, where the money goes to when people donate, how to go about that.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, we're Lexit Movement, and then on Facebook, we're under Real Lexit, and then on Getter, it's just Lexit, I think, and then we have a Telegram too, but I don't really post too much on there. But on Telegram, whatever, we're Lexit Movement, and our website is lexitmovement.us.
Mm-hmm. And that's where you can go and you can donate. Lexit is a nonprofit organization, correct?
Yes.
Nonprofit organization. They have different chapters all over the United States. So there are people that, like for me, I represent the Massachusetts. I'm an ambassador to Massachusetts. And so anybody that wants to be part of Massachusetts or part of New England will come to me and we organize. And We figure out what we can do with the Latino community and grow the Latino community out here. We've seen that. I've seen massive movements out there on the West Coast, which have been even in Florida, New York too. New York has a really big movement right now. So in New England, I'm your girl.
I even see BLM out there protesting too in New York.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually have a podcast on the on the truth about BLM. So I'd find that interesting to dive into when it comes to BLM.
Yeah, I was shocked that they went out there, but that's all the most race that are not getting it is minorities. Blacks, they're not getting the jab.
Yeah, I think it's like 70% of Blacks aren't getting. I think that's a statistic. I don't know if that's the right one, but it's like a big percentage of Blacks aren't getting the jab. Unfortunately, Puerto Rico is the biggest nation.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that.
Well, the thing is the media in Puerto Rico is all liberal. They don't have one conservative news outlet unless you go online and find it. So people out there grew up conservative, but they are knee deep into the liberal ideas, I guess, or voting. So we're going to pray for Puerto Rico and, make sure we can get some more Puerto Ricans to rise up, especially out here on the East Coast. But Jesse, thank you, man. I appreciate everything that you do. I look up to you guys out there on the West Coast, and, know that you're a pioneer for people that, what an amazing story that you have, bro. That is insane. God is using you. And
you'll write a book, sis.
Yeah, man, I got you. The next one. I gotta finish up this one.
More to it too.
Yeah, we'll finish up this one. Maybe we'll do a biography. Biography, and you tell me what to write, and I'll write it, or maybe we'll make it into a fiction.
I'll just tell about your story, and then you could just
yeah. I'm actually not a good writer. I just like speak from the heart. But we'll see what we can do. I think that's
it'll be easy because all you just got to do is get down what I'm saying.
Yeah. You got speech to text. That's what I do. I literally use speech to text on my phone and write a book that way.
Huh. Well, we'll see what's up after this. Let me know, and then we'll look it up.
All right, guys, go to lexitmovement.us. Is that right, Jesse? Lexitmovement.us. Donate anything you can to help the movement, to grow the movement. If you are Latino, look, there is hope for you. Know that we are with you. It is okay to come out and be vocal about the things that you believe in. We are with you. You are not alone. We've all been there. We've all felt that way at some point. But realize that there are other Latinos out here that, are conservatives and are willing to fight for the things that we believe in, especially right now in this climate that we're in. Know that you're at this point, we don't have a choice. We have to stand up and we have to start fighting for the things that we believe in for the next generation. So Jesse, Holguin, thank you, my friend. Love you, brother.
Thanks, sis. Thank you too. Love you, sis. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Rookie Marican podcast. If you would like to support today, just go to Venmo, LISSETTE-Carter, CARTER. Don't forget to head to the new Rookie Revival website where you can find out the latest books, you can find digital trainings, or you can support the distribution of Bibles all over Massachusetts and the nation. Thank you guys again for your support.